Okay. All right. Let's set this thing properly. Maybe here. Mujenite, welcome. It's a pleasure. You've been watching us last 6 months. You are very welcome. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. It must be early for some people. I think you guys, some of you guys in the West, especially in the US, I think many of you guys in the US, there's this thing with the timing, okay? So guys, let's hit the like button first. Thumbs up. Let's get that thumbs up as we wait for people to come in. I've got a green screen, so don't ask me which place is that. It's a green screen. Okay? Yes, we have a green screen. Sorry, Rosa. Is that what? Sorry. How are you sorry? So when you're coming in, guys, please tap the screen and you can give us a thumbs up when you come in. That will be much appreciated. It helps us to grow. Chomuhanji. It's a pleasure, Chomuhanji. It's a pleasure. Welcome, guys. Welcome, the ones that are coming in. I think there is some places people are still in bed. There has to be some places where people are still in bed. So the ones who will come later, they will find the video on the channel. We shall just go with the ones that are here. Because I know that it's a little bit early for some people. Guys, give us a like. When you come in, give us a like. Give us a like. Give us a like as you come in. Give us a like. Tap the like. Tap the screen. Hit the like button. Tap the screen. Hit the like button. It helps us to move forward, to grow. Let us know who is online and where you're watching from. Video for the chosen ones. So the narcissists. Narcissists don't try to consume this content. You will be triggered. Okay? This content is not for narcissists. And the toxic ones at the back. Okay? The stalkers at the back, we see you. Frandy. 3 wishes. I know my wishes. My wishes, I know. I know what is my wishes. I may not want to share with everybody, but everybody has got the wishes. You guys, I think everyone has got wishes. There's things that you want, yeah? You have got wishes. Everybody has got wishes at some point. Things that you desire in your life, for your life. Everybody has got 1 or 2 or 3, maybe more. So, today I decided to use a green screen. I want to see how it goes. I found this picture, it looks nice. Grand Rising Chosen One. Good to see you. Hey, Wingsley, how are you? Good day. Valine, how are you today? Hey, I'm reading your comments. I see you guys rolling in. So many people have been asking me to talk about spiritual awakening. I had a particular question about the signs that you are awakened. The signs that you are awakened. But how do you spell that name? Ndovu Kazi Nkoi Yana. I don't know if I pronounced that one right. Ndovu Kazi, Ndlovu Kazi. Are you Zulu? I know that you're from South Africa. That name is South African. Are you Zulu? I'm great, Wingsley. I know many guys, I think many of you guys from the US, Canada, I think it's morning. You guys are just waking up, having some coffee. The ones that have caught us live, welcome to the channel, welcome to the platform. Welcome to our live. As you come in, you can share, you can tap the screen, you can give us a like, interact with the video. So, you know, the vibe, raise the vibe. Grand Rising, Hero's Journey. John the Spreader. Take some coffee, guys. Grab some coffee. It will be nice to, you have a coffee and we're talking. You have a coffee, enjoying the coffee. Some of you are at work. Maybe you're going to work. Maybe you're going to see some family. Maybe you're going to school. You're Zulu. Your mom is Kosa. That language is a little bit hard to understand. So you say Kosa, but then there's H. So how does that work? Maybe I'm the one who doesn't know how to pronounce those things, See what I mean? So, awakening, spiritual awakening is not something, is not a walk in the park, The Armageddon, what you call the Armageddon, is what I see as like a reset. I could say, so many of you guys are waiting for Jesus to come back, Our guys in the churches and Christians, you're waiting for Jesus to come back. But what is really here is Christ consciousness, okay? Is the awakening, spiritual awakening. That is what you guys want to call the Armageddon. Don't wait for Armageddon and the clouds open and then Jesus comes back walking on the clouds. There are some of those stories we used to hear in school. So I have a lot of love for my Christian brothers. I I don't know what they, because there's a lot of faiths. There's different beliefs on the planet. People, Muslim, this one is Pentecost, this one is that. Some people think Jesus is coming back. I don't know what the Muslims think. I don't know what the Muslims say. Who is coming back? The Catholics think Jesus is coming back. So what about the Muslims? Who is coming back? I've always had my own understanding of religion from a very young age. There was so many things that wasn't making sense. I always had my questions. It would almost feel like I would always see through the veil, and I would probably understand different things that many people didn't know. So we were fed those stories when I was in school many years ago. Second coming, and then there was this. There was a time, I think that was in 2000, something they called was it the millennium or something? And everybody was preparing for the coming of Christ, So there was a church. I told you guys that story before. So there was this church. Guys, give us a like as you come in. It would be nice. I will appreciate that. So there was that church which was this man collected people in the church, and he told them to prepare. That was on December, the end of December '99. So he collected people in the church, and he told them to prepare for Christ is coming. 2000, the millennium, Christ will come, and the clouds will open, and Jesus will be coming, walking on the clouds. So people gathered in church. So what this man did, it was a small church, not a very big one, just a small one, somewhere in the very deep village. And he touched people on fire in church. Because he said, because for you to meet Christ, you have to be dead. So the man touched people. He gathered a group of people in church. He touched people. There's people that died. You guys can see that story. That story was all over the news. I don't know if you can still find it, but it was on everywhere on the news. And then the man disappeared. The man escaped at the back, through the back window, So me, as a person who has always read between the lines, I used to see it a different way. I wasn't there waiting for the second coming and everything, There's a lot of beliefs, and I've asked you, so what about the other beliefs? What do they believe? Anyway, it's not about religion. Let's not go there. Because religion, sometimes religion, people get triggered. When you start talking about religion, everybody says, oh, you don't believe in Jesus and what, the truth and the life and everything. I have a lot of love, I've told you. There's a lot of followers on this channel, the religious people. I don't have any issue with it if that's what you want. Now that I'm awakened, I understand everything, what's going on. I see beyond the veil. I have a different understanding of what is really going on, okay? So it may not be the same as you, and everybody has got their own way of understanding. But the good thing is that on this channel, we don't pretty much focus on religion. So we don't go deep and diving and reading scriptures and Bible and everything. Is something different. We talk about empaths, we talk about chosen ones, we talk about spiritual awakening, we talk about narcissistic abuse, those kind of things. Because I already understand that narcissism affects everybody, okay? Narcissism doesn't care which religion you're from, what you believe in, which church you go every Sunday, it doesn't matter. When narcissism hits, it hits everybody, regardless of your faith, your belief, your gender, your country. It has some people get it. Being a chosen one does not base on religion. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with religion. A person can be chosen and they can come from a different belief and they are chosen. So it is just trying to put yourself in that little sect that, because for us we are religious, so we are the ones who are chosen, the other ones are not chosen. That is the biggest separation you'll ever have to So it's just separation. You just try to think, oh, because the other ones are the other ones are Muslims, so they are not chosen because he's a Muslim. I've got people who watch me from different nations, Dubai, Kuwait. They have got different faiths, but they are empaths. They are chosen ones. And they have got their own faith. Is why I say that I don't base my teachings on religion. I just teach you narcissism, because narcissism doesn't care your faith or your belief. When it hits, it affects everyone, okay? So, I'm a spiritual person. I discovered my spirituality when I was, yeah, you see? So Rita is a Muslim, but he's chosen. Is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? So I'm a spiritual person. I discovered spirituality after awakening. That's when I discovered my own spirituality, okay? So I started to go within. The truth has always been within. It wasn't outside there, okay? The truth has always been inside. The truth is always inside of us, within us. So when you take some time to introspect, dig deeper within your soul, you always find the truth. The truth is not out there somewhere, you're not like... So, hey, Nina, tell them, let's get the likes up. So, I want to talk about the reason why you're going to lose friends. The moment that light bulb turns on, you will lose friends. You're going to lose friends. And you lose family members. Have you guys noticed, before you awakened, you had a lot of people around you? How you had a lot of people? You could go everywhere. You could meet everyone. You could date anyone. It was like this open book. And then anybody would walk in and get out, walk in and walk out. It was okay. You would sit down and have conversations with people. You was on the same level. You would talk about different things. You would talk about something, what happened on the news. You would talk about this. You would talk about relationships. You would talk about food. Even religion. It was pretty much easy. And you guys was in the same boat. It was no big deal. Everybody, your family members, you was in the same boat. You was talking about things they could understand. And then something just happened and you awakened. Now, when you awaken, like I've told you, we talked about this yesterday as well, you pierce the veil, okay? And that is not comfortable. That is not a very comfortable experience. You pierce through the veil. So when you pierce through the veil, what really happens is that you feel like you're wearing a different set of glasses, an extra set, let us say, an extra set of glasses. But these are like invisible glasses. No, not everybody will see that you're wearing glasses. But it's like when you pierce through the veil, it is like it is not like you have actually gone through, you go through a paradigm shift. Hey, everything is okay, my friend. Kagi show. You see? So you start to see reality for what it is. You start to see things for what it is. And you will see the world around you fall apart in real time. So many of you guys have been following me for a while, and my awakening actually started when I discovered that I was involved with the narcissist. It was the most uncomfortable feeling at the time. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know what to think. So it was a very disturbing experience. I started to look around and I was seeing that this whole thing was a mess. I'd been involved with the narcissist. I didn't know what to do. So I started to see the real truth, what was going on. And not only do you see that truth, you also actually embody the truth. You accept that truth. Because this is something that you can no longer go back to sleep. It's like the veil lifts And what you're seeing beyond the veil is extremely overwhelming. Sometimes you want to pat yourself back to sleep, you can't. You just see it for what it is, and you cannot change the fact that you are awakened. Now, for me, let's not forget, at the time, I didn't fully understand that I was awakening. I didn't fully understand what awakening was, but I knew there was a shift. I felt that paradigm shift. Because when you get out of the illusion, when you burst out of that bubble, you step into something different. It's a completely different paradigm whereby you will usually see the truth as it is, not as you want it to be. That's a completely different story. Not as you want it to be. You just see it as it is, okay? This is when I sat with myself at that time. And I said, okay, this was something different that I would have been dealing with. I wasn't prepared for this. So I had to sit down for a couple of days and I had to embrace that reality because it was a completely different reality. That's what they call a paradigm shift. It's like you step onto a different paradigm. You leave this lower state of consciousness, whatever you've been used to, and you're operating on a different paradigm. Now, because you are now starting to embody reality in real time, it may sometimes send your mind into overdrive. So the beginning is why sometimes you see people, they awaken and they start crying. You can just wake up one morning and you're just very emotional, you're crying, you're sad, you have the whole day, you don't even understand yourself, you don't recognize yourself, you feel like you've been sleeping for a very long time, you don't know what you need to do. So you are in the deep state of confusion. That is what awakening feels like. It is very, very uncomfortable. So there is the awakening which is brutal, and then there's an awakening which is just a spontaneous one. I've told you. You just happen to gradually wake up slowly, eventually, one step at a time, but most of the times awakening is brutal. Because awakening can also be a result of going through a very extensive period of trauma. And something just triggers your mind to wake up, your brain to wake up. It triggers you to wake up as a person. Now that you see the truth, you're starting to get the real taste of reality. Everything you thought you knew, the whole world you thought you believed in, all those things you thought you believed, is why a lot of times, many guys, you guys who are here, you're not really, you're religious. I've always seen you talking about Jesus and religion and everything. So you are starting to see that even sometimes the beliefs that you've always had, it was all not making sense. You was just there because, that was your level of consciousness, where you was. But now you wake up, and a lot of people have left religion after awakening. They just get out of religion. So what now happens is, now that you've pierced the veil, you're going to be walking a completely different path. You're going to realize that you're involved, you have always been involved in some kind of warfare, because you see, now you're starting to add up all the pieces, you're putting the puzzle together. And you're realizing that it has always been a battle that you've been fighting for your soul from the beginning of time. It has always been a battle of consciousness. So you look around you, and one of the things that will actually shock you, that is something that a lot of people find very shocking and uncomfortable. You're looking around you and you're seeing these other people around you, the family members, you're seeing the friends, you're seeing the people that used to hang around you, your classmates, your workmates. You're starting to see them that they are still asleep. It's like, for example, you're sleeping in a room and you wake up and you're seeing there's some other people still asleep. And what is even more scary is going to feel like you want to wake them up. You're trying to wake them up. You're trying to tell them, hey guys, listen, this is what is happening. This is what is going on. This is what is going on. So those days, I remember, those years, back in the years, I was trying to wake up people. There was a lot of family members. I was telling them, hey guys, listen, this is this narcissism and everything. I was very overwhelmed with this thing of narcissism. Is something completely different. When you realize what narcissism is, ladies and gentlemen, is extremely overwhelming. So I was thinking, I need to tell these people what is happening. So I was trying to wake them up. I was trying to tell these family members, oh, you know, this is what, narcissism and everything. And you know what was the funny part, guys? Most of the times in those early stages, I was actually talking to the narcissist. The narcissist that was around me, those are the ones, the very first ones I was talking to. I didn't know. So me, I was thinking that, oh, because I'm awake, now I understand this narcissism and everything, so I can now start to tell people what's going on. I was talking to the narcissists. So in the early days of awakening, like I've told you, there's going to be a lot of confusion. There will be a lot of confusion. You are seeing things, you're seeing reality, you know, apocalypse, zombie apocalypse. Me, sometimes I think that there is a lot of truth. I just believe, as I've continued to evolve, I've started to see, you see, many years ago we used to watch movies, you know, there's a lot of things we used to, movies, maybe books, some books were like fictional books, sometimes there was like movies that we used to say, oh, it's science fiction. Many of you guys used to call it science fiction. Until now, they call it science fiction. But as you evolve, you're starting to understand that this was never fiction. This was just the truth that was hidden in plain sight. Because now you revisit those movies. Like, for example, you guys have watched The Matrix. Many of you guys have watched that Matrix. I don't think there's nobody who hasn't watched The Matrix. But back in the days, it was fiction. It was nice when this guy, Neo, was dodging the bullets around and everything. But now you awaken, and then you go back to play that movie. And you say, okay, now I see this movie, what is really going on? What was the message at the time? So now you understand that movie on a completely different level. You have a different understanding of everything. So now you are going to go back and talk to a person that is not awakened, and you're going to tell them, guys, do you know that in that movie, Matrix, The Matrix, this is what was happening. This is what was happening. You're starting to explain to them a different language, and people are thinking, yeah, people will think you're going berserk. A lot of the people that have been around you, your friends and family members, they will think that you're going berserk. Is why many times your families and friends, they will think you've lost it. They are going to think you've lost it. Many of them are going to think you're going crazy. They're going to be like, no, there's something wrong with so and so. What are they talking about? Yeah. Like there's another movie you guys made. A lot of you guys maybe have not seen it. That movie was called They Live. You know, They Live. That guy what was his name? John Carpenter something? What was that guy's name? The guy who discovered these glasses, the glasses that when he would wear those glasses, he would see these creatures, you know, that was unhuman, that was walking around among humans, but was not human, like the zombies, you know. So the movies, sometimes they are telling us that these zombies, they are around. They have always been around amongst us, but just because we was asleep. So we couldn't actually see those zombies. They are around, they have been moving amongst us for a very long time. For the longest of time, we wasn't just aware of it. Hey, John Carpenter, exactly. So, and this John Carpenter, what he was doing, he was trying to shake this guy. You remember that guy, the black guy? The one who was in that movie. I don't know what's his name, that guy, I don't remember. He was shaking him up. Where are the glasses? There was even fighting. That's what it feels like. When a person is awakened, basically, you are going to fight around to make people understand. You are pushing people to see what you can see. That's what John Carpenter was. That movie of John, They Live, is a very good illustration, clear illustration of what the awakening feels like. Because you can see the zombies. You can see, it's like, for example, when you awake, many people say they started to see narcissists everywhere. They started to see psychopaths. They started to see demons. And they have always been moving amongst us, but you wasn't aware. And many of them have been in your family. Your friends and family members, there was always been part of them, part of that team. You wasn't paying attention, you didn't know, because you was asleep. You had a veil over your face. So when there was now, that man, John Carpenter, was trying to push this guy, you know, they fight around. You guys remember that scene when they was fighting around. He was trying to make them wear the glasses. The guy was like, go back to work and go back to sleep, go back to do, you're confusing everybody. And then after some time, this man eventually, he wore the glasses. So when the man wore the glasses, now he could see what John Carpenter had been telling him all along. He had been shaking him to see. Now he could see it in real time. And that's when he understood what the man was saying. So Awakening is an illustration, is an that movie was like an interpretation of what a spiritual awakening feels like. You see the truth, you cannot unsee it. And when you have, is what they say, when you wear those glasses, you cannot take them off. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't. It doesn't matter what you try to do. You have already seen it, you cannot go back to sleep. You cannot take off those glasses. You will see what is really happening. You can see through dimensions that have always been blind to the normal eye, to the normal human eye. So that is what is exactly happening when you awaken spiritually. So eventually, as you guys remember, this black man, Grigory, exactly. Yeah. Grigory is a very good actor, actually. I like that guy. He's a very. I think there must have been some other movies I've watched. So there was, so when he put the glasses, he started to see everything. He was, oh, now I get it. All this time you was trying to tell me, I couldn't understand what you were saying. Now he could see. Because when you're trying to explain to people the experience, what you're seeing, and what exactly is happening, is what many people will fight around with you because they cannot get you. They don't understand what you're saying. They cannot read that language. They don't know what you're talking about, So me at the time, I remember, so there was one family member that I was trying to help. Like I've told you guys, I think even we mentioned it yesterday. This member was involved with, I don't know now, but at the time was involved with a narcissist. And I was trying to tell them, the man you're dating is a narcissist. The man is a narcissist. This is what is happening. I was trying to show them this. So in most case scenarios, when I used to show them the truth, they could almost wear these glasses temporarily. And then I would later on learn in a week or two that they had actually removed the glasses, so they had gone back to sleep. So when you remove the glasses, you go back to sleep. That's what it looks like. And that is where the confusion was, because we was always struggling around, going back and forth, and I was trying to show them, this man is a narcissist, the man you're dating is a narcissist. This is what is happening, that is what they do, this is what they do. So I was going in circles. And then sometimes I remember they said, oh, you sticking your nose in my business. This is my relationship, so it has nothing to do with you, with this and this, So that is a very good comment from Pablo. They realize when you're awakened, they realize that you're awakened. They kind of get that energy that you can see, and these demons don't want to be seen. They have been always operating in the dark. So when you're awakened, you can see them, and they don't want to be seen, because that is how they have always survived, by staying in the dark and operating from the darkness. So as an awakened person, you will be like this preacher with the speaker, Now, I don't watch movies, personally. I don't even, I think ever since I woke up, I've stopped watching movies. I no longer watch movies. I've got away from movies. I don't like watching news. The news will always find a way, because when it's news, it can always find a way to reach you. It can be different platforms. You might get a headline or two, but it's not like I'm going to sit down there and follow, oh, so the news today is this, or which country bombed which one, and what is this one doing. I'm not following those things, because I understand the vibration frequency that the news emit. So I don't participate in that frequency. I don't like sitting down there watching people who's bombed which one, which train crashed which way, which bus killed how many people, that kind of information. I don't consume that kind of nonsense, So I do watch things, but I like watching things that are going to build me and elevate me. I don't like things which are just going to continue sapping my energy. Do you know how you feel when you watch those things on TV and you're just seeing this bus killed how many people, that plane crashed, this one, that. Some of these people even put everything on TV. Oh, this one crashed, and then they're going to warn you, breaking news. So why are you watching breaking news? Let the news find you when it finds you, but don't try to pour all your energy into those things because it's very low vibration, content. So I watch things that are going to help me. Maybe there's different teachers I could learn from. They're going to teach me different things. How do you grow? How do you evolve? How do you become a better person? Healing, all of those things. Those are the things I consume, but I don't like consuming low vibrational things. But as an awakened person, like I've said, there's another movie. What was it called? There's a movie. You guys remember that movie by Denzel Washington? What was it? What was that movie, Denzel Washington? Gosh, that thing always skips. What's that movie? You guys know that movie, the one by Denzel Washington. Falling. That movie, Fallen, by Denzel Washington. You saw what they were saying. These things are in the movies, but the difference is, an awakened person watches the movie. They're not watching the movie on screen. They're watching what is behind the movie. What is the message behind the movie? They're watching all the little details. So they're watching the movie with an extra eye. The ordinary person watching the action, oh, you see that movie, the demon jumped onto that one. But you see the movie and you have a different understanding of what the movie is saying. So the information has always been there. They have been telling us these things for a very long time. But we was not paying attention. For us, it was at the time entertainment. When you're young, oh, that was a very good action. Did you see the way that car flew over the building and this and that? Did you see that man, the way that's what was enjoying, the entertainment, but was not paying attention to the message. So there was a lot of movies in that category that have been coming out every now and then and have been giving us the message. Another one, the zombie apocalypse, World War Z. All those movies of zombies and this and that, they are telling us things that these creatures are here. They have already been here. So we are not like waiting for that day whereby it's going to be like a very big zombie apocalypse and people have got to be hiding somewhere. Another movie by, what was that movie by Will Smith? When he was alone with the dog. What was that movie? Guys, I've not watched movies for a long time, so sometimes I forget some of this. When he was with that dog, what was that movie, guys? When he was the only one on the planet with the dog. What was that movie? Legend. Yeah. You see, I'm forgetting those things because what? Once you shift paradigms, this kind of old paradigm starts fading away. So you may start forgetting things the things you used to watch. Legend, that's the movie. Is what they're showing us, You know what I mean? They're showing us these things. So you now are awakening, and the experience you have, it looks like a movie, or a movie in its on its own. As you're awakening, you start to see the zombies in real time. But even what is more, I could say, unbelievable is like only you can see, So me, sometimes I would go around, I'd move around, and I would clearly see. Even I've shared some of these videos, I would be moving around maybe sometimes and I would really see these entities that are attached, was attached, always, attached to people. And I would know that that's an entity. I would see, but you see, it's only you can see it. Other people, they are blind, they're just moving around, they don't see it. You can see. So that is what now will cause the challenge, because you see what people don't see. So you don't get surprised as to why sometimes you find people that are awakened and they are going to be labeled crazy so that they can rush them to an institution somewhere, institutionalize them, because they are saying that, oh, this one must be crazy because they are saying that they are seeing this or they are seeing this. There must be something wrong with their mind, so they try to label them crazy. So they find a way to institutionalize them, label them crazy, and start feeding them medicine. But they're not crazy, they are seeing things as they are. you know. Some people, they can be saying, some people could be, because there is even people that can see through dimensions. Even pre-awakening, they can already look through dimensions. And they can see demons. They can see behavior, entities. But because you're operating on this realm that doesn't understand that frequency, they do not understand that language. So what they do now, they're going to say you're crazy. Oh, you're crazy, you know? So they will say that you're crazy because what you're saying, what you're talking about, they don't understand what is going on, you know? So you're not crazy. When you're awakened, they are going to label you crazy. Many years ago, I had people that used to think I'd lost it. And even you yourself, you could start to believe that you've lost it, but that's not the truth. You haven't lost it. You are just seeing reality for what it is, you know? I remember one person that I used to know, they said, oh, you know, you must be, maybe you're thinking too much. You're oversensitive. You're overthinking too much. You are, you know, you're digging too deep and all that stuff. It's because I was having a different reality that I was seeing that wasn't normal to the human eye. Okay? So that is what happened to an awakened person. You see stuff and you understand things differently. So because you are the only one that is wearing those glasses, the people around you, they're still asleep. A lot of friends, you know, they are still operating at that frequency. A lot of family members, they are still at that frequency. So you can sit down, you can spend with them the whole day, you can talk with them. Everything you think you see, they cannot read you, they cannot get you. They don't know what you're saying. So many people, they talk about this thing of spiritual awakening. The honest ones will tell you that it's hard, it's tough, you know. You know. And now because people think that you are, you know, this person looks like they are seeing ghosts, so they recommend you to go to see a doctor. Now you're going to see a doctor who is also not awakened, and they are going to continue to confirm that you're crazy. You know? So the person that is telling you that you're crazy, they refer you to a doctor. That's what they told me many years ago when I was awakening. Go see a doctor, you know. The narcissists that I knew at the time, well, you know, you have to go and see a doctor because, you know, you must be crazy. They go and get help. Now, the ones who are telling me to go get help, they were the ones who needed help in the first place. So that's where now they start to gaslight you. You know, this thing of gaslighting, it has always been happening. You know? So, now what happens? They tell you, go see a doctor. When you go to a doctor, the doctor is just going to confirm something different. Oh, you know, they will find a label. So there's some labels they use. So there's some labels that they use. And now they are going to send you so what they will do now, they will send you to go into a psychiatric ward, you know? But then you realize that actually there has never been anything wrong with you. Because you see, as you continue to evolve on that journey, you will realize that what you have always been seeing, you was just tapped into reality. And not everybody is tapped into reality. Okay? So a lot of friends who don't speak your language, they are going to stay away from you. Okay? So this channel is about frequency, like I've told you. And I understand frequency. So when you come and I see you're not in alignment with this thing, I'll give you a break. I'll allow you to take a break. The ones that get it will get it, okay? So you understand, guys, what we're saying, what we're doing here. Do not be surprised why you as an awakened person, you have been losing a lot of friends. Because this is something that kind of scares people. It freaks out people, okay? When you're awakened, you can freak out people because you are tapped into a reality that many of them cannot see, and you are speaking a language they cannot understand. Have you guys noticed, even before your awakening, did you notice the chosen ones, for the most part of your life, yeah, this thing of hospitalization and labels, you know, I have a chosen one that said, there was told, the chosen was told there was bipolar, you know? So you guys are here, are listening. The chosen one was called bipolar. Thanks, Anglo. I don't know what that one, the currency, CLP, what does CLP stand for? So thank you for that donation. The super chat. I'm not at the beach. Yeah, I wish. You know, that is a very nice. I got that thing on online. It's a nice place. It looks like a nice, beautiful place. So, chosen ones are not crazy. For the most part of your life, you guys have noticed, like I've been saying, you have noticed that people always labeled you crazy, even before you awakened. Now, I want you to imagine, people have always misunderstood you since you was a child. So what is really going to make you believe that people are going to understand you post-awakening? You know? You've already been misunderstood for a very long time, even before you awakened. So when you awaken, what do you think, what do you expect? How are people going to think? The moment you start to see the reality, you know, beyond the veil. I've told you that there's a chosen one who used to be called bipolar. For the very long time, she was wearing a label. So they give you a label that you can wear. And they want that label to become your reality. Oh, you know, you must be bipolar and something like that. There's always these labels, many different labels they use. There's nothing wrong with you. You can just see beyond the veil, that's it. But they want to kind of like water down your truth, your reality, so that you can go back to sleep. So they find a label for you. This person, until they awakened, is when they realized that they wasn't bipolar this whole time. We're together, guys. New member, thank you, Greenlit. We have a new member, guys. So, yes, like I'm trying to make you understand in this video, you will lose friends. Yes, you will lose friends. It is not personal. It is not personal. You will lose friends. But even the universe wants you, God wants you to lose some people, because sometimes you've been carrying a lot of dead weight. You know, a lot of those people disguised as friends. Many of them, they're NPCs, you know. You guys are going to realize that you've always been moving around with these NPCs, and many of them, you call them best friends. Some of them was narcissists, many of them had different types of situations. You're now starting to wake up because now you can see beyond the veil. You can see them without a mask, is what I'm trying to say. You will see them without a mask, and you're able to understand who they are on a spiritual level. They are going to be the very first ones, and there is nobody labels you quicker than the person who is not the normal one. The people that are not the normal ones are going to be the very first ones to get the label for you. I've told you that the narcissists at the time, back in those years when I awakened, the narcissists that I used to have around at the time, they was the very first ones to tell me that I was crazy. It's some other form of gaslighting, but in a more professional way, so that you can wear the label and you can go back to sleep. When you're moving around, you're going to tell people, oh, the doctor said you had bipolar. The doctor told you had this. The doctor told you had that. The doctor said. That is because they was trying to diagnose something in you that doesn't even exist. Sometimes you go to a person who is a narcissist and they're going to tell you you're the narcissist. You're in front of a narcissist and they're the ones telling you you're a narcissist. Kids at school called you strange. That was Wingsley. Somebody said they was called bipolar. So, the world is very quick to label you as insane when you're actually the most normal person in the building. They'll call you insane. A lot of these inventors, you guys have seen a lot of these people, even in Hollywood, a lot of these people, famous people. Sometimes we hear their stories when they are talking. They will tell you things like, when they was starting their journey back in the years, everybody thought they was crazy. Everybody thought they was foolish. Everybody thought that they had lost it, Until they started to really make it, prove that they're not crazy, then the world started following up. But in the beginning, everybody thought they was crazy. There was a label. They gave them some label, So it is what causes, is why you hear many times chosen people. Many of you guys in the awakened community, many of you guys, the very first thing, every person that I know that has awakened, the first thing they have mentioned is isolation. Some of them institutionalized with labels, gang stalked. What do you think they tell those gang stalkers when they are recruiting them? Nowadays they call it surveillance. They recruit them under surveillance, but actually they are gang stalkers. They just don't want to put that label out there. They just say surveillance. But actually what they do tell them, we think that person may be crazy and they can be a danger to community, so go and follow them and give us information. So that's how they recruit those people. But behind the scenes, secretly, they know that you are awakened. They are just afraid because they know that you can see the truth. And that's what they are running from. For you to know that you're different, and for you to know that you carry a different frequency or maybe a different energy, is when you can see or understand things that pretty much everybody around you doesn't understand, A lot of you guys have been wearing labels for a very long time. Labels that had nothing to do with you. Just because somebody said, and somebody said. So when somebody said, you started wearing that label for a very long time. For so many years, you was wearing a label that wasn't yours. You was just awakened. in a sleep world. He was just the awakened one among asleep people. That's all it was. So like I've been saying, that you become isolated. The reason why you get isolated and you feel that isolation is because you are now operating at a different frequency, okay? You are operating at a different frequency, and it is a frequency that people around you cannot read. Thembeka, hello. So you hear the gangs talking, you hear the targeting, you hear this, and you have always been targeted, you know? Chosen ones have always been targeted in this matrix for a very long time. You have been targeted from the beginning. The matrix has been stalking you behind the scenes. You wasn't just paying attention. Because the only thing what they was trying to prevent is you to wake up, because your awakening would crack down the whole illusion. They was just trying to do anything they can do to keep you in that loop so that you cannot wake up, is what they was trying to do, is why they were sending these narcissists. I've told you in my recent video, is why you've been running into these narcissists day in, day out. You couldn't understand where they was coming from. That is because the narcissist was part of the game to keep you trapped in the loop. So you cannot break the loop, because when you break the loop, you wake up. So when you wake up now, that's when you see the gang stalking intensifies. It's now when you start to see, and they've already been gang stalking you, but you wasn't paying attention. They have been moving around in your circles, sometimes your best friends and what, that woman in the shop. They've been following you around, you know? But back in the years, you wasn't pretty much giving it attention. But when you awaken, because I've told you now you're wearing the glasses. So when you wear the glasses, you are now even seeing the gang stalkers. You are seeing them in real time. They have been there, but behind the scenes. You awaken, you start to see. That is the thing, when you start to see beyond the veil. You now see what is really going on. So spiritual awakening is not a walk in the park. Many of you guys who have awakened, you know, it is not a walk in the park. It is something entirely different, you know. Some people will say you're paranoid, you know. There was this old man, I remember one time I was walking around, and this man was somewhere taking pictures. You can imagine, that's how desperate they are. He was just there taking pictures, and they came and I approached him. Why are you taking pictures of me? Oh, you know, I'm just trying to take different pictures. So he tried to pretend to fool around. So they start harassing you, they start to say different names, they start to gang stalk you, they start to do this, they start to label you. Anything they can do to frustrate you is when you know that there is something inside of you that they are scared about. When a person is very desperate to frustrate you, to harass you and to intimidate you, you have to know that you are powerful. They are afraid of your power. How do you team up? You can explain to me. If a person is not powerful, how do you team up? How do you explain a team of groups of people that are paid by institutions just to follow up somebody that even sometimes is bearing to struggle to eat, to feed themselves? You pay people, you know? Many of you guys are, you know this gang stalking, how it works. You pay people, you know? Cops, lawyers, shopkeepers, landlords, you know? They just want to gang stalk one person. This is already a confirmation of your power. This is what they are running from. This is what they are scared of. Anything they can do to keep you asleep. They try everything. They throw isolation. They will throw rejection, you know, intimidation. you're not crazy. You just awakened. And that is what it means to awaken in this realm where you have to deal with a lot of bots, these NPCs, narcissists, and all these low vibration individuals, demon people, is what it means. Your friends are going to avoid you. It's part of the game. It's part of the isolation. When you wake up, all those individuals that have been a part of the game, a part of the plan, they will isolate you. Did you guys know that sometimes, let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, today you was just a normal guy doing normal things. And maybe you awaken tomorrow. You awaken tomorrow. Or maybe yesterday you was a normal guy, you awaken today. You're going to start seeing strange behavior around you. You're going to start to see people pulling back away from you slowly. They're not going to do it all at once. They're going to start pulling back one by one. So the energy starts to shift. And you're like, oh, so this person, yesterday we had a nice good chat. Even sometimes you went out and had a nice meal together. On the day when you awakened, and the days that followed, you started to see that person dragging away from you. They was part of the program. Okay, so this channel is Yemima, hi. So when you are, so I've told you there's NPCs as well. So there's people who come in, they are getting, they are glitching. I can see when a person is glitching, it's very easy to see when they are glitching because they are consuming content that is not on their consciousness. So they start to glitch. So when you start glitching, I will just understand you're not on that frequency. So you will leave the chat. Unapologetic is the truth. So the truth can sometimes cause people to glitch. So when you start glitching, you leave the chat. Is how we're doing it here, unapologetic. The ones that are ready for the, when the students are ready, the teacher comes in. But sometimes the teacher comes in when the students are not prepared yet, is what it looks like. Okay? So there is some people, and for me it's very easy to see the NPCs. The NPCs, they come and they start glitching. Oh, so this one, that, they start to talk about things they don't connecting, they don't know what we're saying. It's a different frequency. So when you start glitching, you leave the chat. The ones that get it, okay? It means that you're actually consuming content that is not on your frequency. It's how it works. So I do you a favor and you get out of the chat. Okay? We are here to help and wake up people. So when you're not ready for things that you don't, is stuff that is beyond your consciousness, it's going to cause you to glitch. Your mind may glitch because you're operating at a different frequency. So many of you chosen ones, like I've said, there is going to be a lot of moments where you're going to be lonely, isolated. And this is something you have got to go through. It's a period, and that period can take a lot of time. Because when you awaken, so basically, your frequency is calling for a different group of people, a different, what do they call it? Your frequency is calling you to elevate so that you can meet your tribe. Because the people that you have always been around, they wasn't helping with your evolution. Those was the people that was in your life. Many of them have been NPCs. Even some of you guys, your family members have been NPCs all this time. So the universe is removing you from this energy so that you can elevate and evolve so that you can meet your tribe. And this takes a lot of time. It takes some time. So when you see yourself going through that transition, you're in the isolation stage, you don't know what is happening, you sometimes getting too bored and everything, you have to know It's a transition. It's a period that you have got to go through. It is also a period where you are meant to sit down with yourself, first of all, and get yourself together, do some introspection so that you can now start to see what exactly have you been dealing with all this time and where it is you need to go. So a lot of messages come in during that silence. I spent a lot of years, I think that time it was like 2 years. I'm not pretty much in the isolation. I left that isolation stage at the time because now I can do different things. But at that time I was in isolation those years, the first 2 years. So those years, yes, you sit with yourself, new day, welcome. So I was at the time in the isolation stage, and I was taking some time to heal, work on myself, discover different things, learn a lot of things. There was a lot of teachers I was watching at the time. So I was learning, evolving, and I was waiting to see how can I find my tribe, because I was trying to be curious. There's got to be other awakened people out there that speak this language so we can connect. That's what I was trying to understand. So when you're isolated, you have to know you go through this paradigm shift. It's inevitable for an awakened soul. You will go through a paradigm shift. That shift is very necessary for you to get you into a higher vibration, okay? So you get closer to purpose, you get closer to source, most high, find meaning in life, heal deeper, find purpose, meet your tribe. You know, it's tough, yes, it's tough. It's a tough thing to be, sitting out there and, I've told you that those 2 years back in the years, it was very isolating, yes, because you're being unplugged. You see, you're unplugging for the matrix. So you have to go through the isolation stage. You cannot do it otherwise. So it's the reason why in that stage, when you're being isolated, the family, the people that you used to call family, everybody looks different. The people that used to be friends, everybody looks different. People used to be around you. Everybody pretty much looks different because you was just been moving in the wrong direction. You was like a lost sheep, So you need time, give yourself time to find your tribe. And you only find your tribe by finding some purpose and meaning in life, okay? Try to get some meaning, try to find some purpose, and your tribe starts gravitating towards you because they can understand, they speak, and they can read your language. It's how this whole thing works. Spiritual awakening is not for everybody. So it's not everybody came here to wake up, okay? Not everybody came here to wake up. The ones that are the real souls, they will wake up, okay? One way or the other, they will wake up. Using the time to heal, good, very good for you. This is exactly where you need to be, So one of the things that you find difficult, one of the challenges I could say you can have when you're awakened, it is going to be explaining things to people. They do not hear you. People, they have got something like, I don't know, they have their headphones on, or sometimes they have some blinders on. I've told you the veil is why, even in the Bible, they have talked about the veil. The religious people, spiritual people, everybody, the people you hear talking about the veil is what they're trying to see. They are simply trying to talk about the people that are asleep. When you have got a veil covered over your eyes, which veil, most of them I've told you in my recent video, the narcissists, they have been responsible for covering that veil over your face so you would not see. Because the enemy, I've told you, the enemy operates in the dark. The enemy operates in the dark. Yes, the enemy has got the team. Okay, the enemy has got team. There's some teams that they work with, but they operate in the darks. So they catch you kind of off guard. They want to catch you off guard and, do different things to you. So you have got a veil over your face. Pre-awakening, there's a veil. The longer that veil, the longer you will have that veil is the longer you will sleep. It depends. So when you wake up, you pierce that veil, you remove the veil. And now, one of the things also you will realize, you cannot go back to sleep. So the confusion you're experiencing is the people that are trying to put you back to bed, okay? They're trying to send you back to sleep. So that's why you start to hear all those labels. Oh, you crazy. You're thinking too much. You're too sensitive. Oh, why don't you go back and sleep? Do what we are doing and do what everybody else is doing. They want you asleep. That's where they want you to be. Because your evolution, it scares people, okay? Your growth and evolution, your awakening, growth and evolution, it scares people. So they want you back to sleep. And they are going to try. I've told you, family members are going to come around and they are going to scream at you. You are going to see NPCs in real time. They are going to try to discourage you. They are going to try to gaslight you. Oh, go get therapy, go to a doctor, go this way and go that way. They are going to try to tell you a lot of things to go back to sleep. Because that's where they want you to be. Because you're tapping into your consciousness. And that is a language that people don't know, people don't understand, So what you can do in this scenario, this is something you can do, chosen ones. You don't need to shove your truth down people's throats. Just move the way you have to move. The right souls will find you. So me, what I did at the time, because I've told you back in those years, when I noticed that people wasn't getting it, I was talking to some people and people was like, oh, some workmates, what are you talking about? Oh, that doesn't make sense. Oh, this and this. I knew that I was talking to the wrong people. So what I did, I started focusing on my healing, focusing on myself, and eventually I started sharing and I allowed the ones that get it to find me. Is how you find your tribe. The ones that are ready will find you, because something, when a person is ready, is what I've told you. When the students are ready, the teacher will start. So sometimes you're talking to the students who are not yet ready. They're not yet on that frequency. They haven't yet caught up. So you allow them time, okay? Family members, give them time. Allow them time, patience, slowly. When their time is right, they will wake up. But it's not something you're going to be forcing them to do. This is something that happens organically. It is something that happens to individuals at their own time, They will leave you before you leave them. Sometimes they're going to, many of them are going to distress themselves because there is something that happens in the spiritual realm. I've told you. Anybody that senses unusual energy around you, something that is not familiar, they're not used to, your family members, they're used to you in a different energy. You awaken, you step into a different paradigm. They don't know those things, they don't understand it. So many of them, I've told you, even some of the family members, many of them, they're NPCs. Because when you awaken, you have a different understanding of reality. You see them for what they are. You see things as they are, not as you want them to be. Do you know how hard it is for a person to wake up and you look behind you, you look beside you in your bed, and you've been sleeping with a narcissist for the last 20 years? Thanks, Claire. Thanks for the super chat. So guys, tap that screen, hit the likes, share if you can. I'm also going through your comments. Super chat if you can. I do appreciate, you know. So like you hear, for example, somebody says the new age is demonic, is what you're going to hear. So you're going to hear a lot of those things. Oh, this new age stuff is demonic, you know, is devil, demons and everything. People are going to say those things. And it's understandable because like I've told you, there is people that are still asleep. Okay, so anything that is not familiar to what they know, many of the people have grown up in studying the Bible all their life. Many people have grown up in different faiths. These things that they understand. So there is a different reality they have always lived. That's their reality. So when you awaken, you step out of that reality. So is the reason as to why people, I used to be called demonic back in those years. So there's people who used to sometimes watch my videos. They say, oh, you know, all that new age stuff, you know, you don't understand. Jesus. A lot of this, I do not understand why. Did you guys know that actually? Do you guys actually know? Spiritual people that are spiritual, very much into spirituality, they actually do not judge religious people. They will see them and they will just see an extension of themselves. They will just see people that just need time to evolve and need time to elevate and, you know, figure out different things. But religious people, actually, they condemn spiritual people. Did you guys know that? Spiritual people, they understand religious people and you'll never hear them say anything. Religious people, they condemn spiritual people. So back in the years, like I've told you, I used to be called demonic. Oh, it must be demonic because my intent, my content. Yeah, I know my content. My content is very intense. Because this frequency is a frequency that it brings you face to face with the truth. And it is not something that you're not ready to condense. You're not ready to swallow. You are not ready to digest. So it can actually sometimes trigger. Especially an individual who is not ready to wake up, it can trigger them in a different way. So that's why now you see people, they are going to start using some names. Oh, that one is this, the demonic, this one, this. A person only is why now you hear a lot of these religious people that are going to start. Oh, you know, it is only through Jesus Christ you can be chosen. It is Jesus Christ who chooses you. It is Christ that chooses us. And you know, you cannot be chosen if you don't believe in Christ. That's what they will start to say. So now they're understanding that you're speaking a different language. So what they will do, they're not going to say, oh, you know, you don't believe in Jesus, you are demonic and everything. They will start to say that, those kind of things. I used to be hearing a lot of those things, you know. So you are speaking a language that many people around you do not understand, you know. The Pharisees, those are the Pharisees. They are the ones who crucified Jesus. They gang stalked him for some time. You know, the gang stalking. You guys think this gang stalking has just started recently? Gang stalking has been there since every leadership at the time. Anybody that used to wake up, they used to gang stalk those people. But for them, maybe they didn't use technology the same way we use at the moment. The gang stalking was happening. Jesus was gang stalked. Jesus was a conscious soul. He was an awakened soul. He was a chosen one. So they used to gang stalk him to spy on him. What is he doing? Sometimes they used to send his disciples. What was that guy who betrayed him? Judas, what was it? Judas something? You know, it is what is happening, but this time is because in a different, you know. Judas is in a different millennium. So now with the way we see things and understand, it's not the same way, but it is the same procedure that used to happen. So the people that used to call the Pharisees, those people that was the leaders at the time, those were the narcissists in that time. They are the ones that gang stalked Jesus and eventually persecuted and executed him. But we all understand the results, what happened when he was executed. We all know what happened. So it is happening also now, but in a different context. It is not the same context like, the time of the Jesus time. Even before Jesus, there used to be those kind of individuals. There used to be, gang stalked around and everything. So this is not something new, Religious narcissists, spiritual narcissists, They used to build places of worship, and then they would go there and start selling things. They would come around and they sell things in churches, places of worship. The places they used to call the places of worship is where they were selling products. You can see it even in these churches now. You can see a man who opens this church, and when you come in, they are going to tell you, if you can buy this, our product, they are going to start selling their products in church. It's happening, but in a different, it's a different millennium, so it's a different understanding, but it's the same thing. What was happening back at the time, the pastors. They build churches and they start collecting money in churches. It's what they are doing. But the time, maybe in those days there was no money, so maybe they had different ways of exchanging things. But it was the same. It was the same thing happening, So this thing of consciousness has been there for a very long time. Okay, different generations, same procedure. Different generations, same procedure. So you can imagine, for example, me, I come and I tell you, I've been teaching you narcissism for a very long time. Okay? I've been helping you pierce the veil of narcissism for a very long time, and I've told you, you may understand narcissism as a personality disorder, but it's beyond a personality disorder, is what I've been trying to say. So, then you find somebody some people worship pastors, exactly, Now you see people that are selling things in church. You guys in Africa, some people build churches and they will come with their products. So when you're leaving, you can buy something from outside. You can buy something from there. They are making money. It's a different generation, but the same routine was happening many years ago. This thing has happened for a very long time. Okay, it's a little bit maybe some people know. Some people can hide it better than the other ones, but it's the same thing. So one of the things that you will find challenging, like I've been telling you that I've been teaching you narcissism, for quite a while now, a couple of years. But I still understand that there is people that will come around and they have got different versions. It's okay, They pay money for blessings. There is nobody. Let me tell you something. One of the most, I could say maybe the hardest thing I've come to realize on my journey. There is nobody in this universe, especially those people, the Christian ones, the Bible scholars, the ones in the religious community. There is nobody, not all of them, I'm not saying everybody, but there's some people that they're like, the way they hate non-religious people, A person that is practicing their own spirituality, You know, they do their own things, they have their own practice, maybe they are Muslim, maybe they have a different belief. When they come into contact with that person is going to, by all means necessary, make sure that they consume their religion. You have to be born again. Oh, go and get born again. You know, you cannot do anything if you're not born again. You cannot go to heaven. Those kind of things is what they are going to tell people. You know, anybody who doesn't believe in Jesus is not following the right channel. Anybody that doesn't read Bible, don't go to church, whatever, don't believe in anything about Jesus, they're in the wrong direction. That's what they believe. All of them, many of them, not all, many of them. That's their belief. Being born again doesn't mean awakened, exactly. You know, a person that is born again doesn't mean when you're born again, you are chosen one. Being born again doesn't mean you are awakened. You know. But when you see spiritual people, the spiritual community, the way they understand nature, human nature, and the way they see souls and people is very amazing. You know, they see people as one. We're all one. That's one of the things you realize. The more you tap into spirituality, you realize that we are all one. It's just because different people vibrate at different frequencies. And you also understand light and darkness. You also understand some people is darkness, some people is light. But usually you don't see human people or beings based on religion and their faith. You just see energy. It's either good or bad, but you don't see religion, you don't see color, you don't see nationalities, you don't see whatever, you know, gender. There is even some people that will come and tell you that you are not going to heaven. Oh, you cannot, you will not go to heaven. You will not go to heaven because you don't believe in Jesus. You cannot go to heaven, is what they will tell people. Now you can imagine what kind of separation, you know. What kind of separation is that? So for the chosen ones who are losing friends, you're losing family members, you're starting to get into that isolation stage. It is a normal thing. It is nothing to be scared of. It is nothing to be afraid of. It is something that has to happen because you're an awakened soul. The awakened soul, you have got to go through that phase, okay? At the time of Jesus, many years ago, there is people that say that Jesus was a false prophet, you know? You guys have read those stories. There's people that used to say that he was a false prophet because he used to tell people about different things, people that couldn't understand, things that they couldn't understand. So sometimes he was talking to the sleep ones and they could say that he was a demon worshipper, he was a false prophet, and all those kind of things, you know? So not everybody is meant to understand you, is what I'm trying to say. Not everybody is supposed to understand you. This is one of the things you have got to know. Family members will stop to understand you. Your best friends will stop to understand you. You are vibrating at a different frequency. You are awakened. They cannot hear you. Even in some case scenarios, they cannot see you. You know. So you don't try to force people. Don't try to force people to understand. But you allow them to understand when they are ready. Okay? You have to be compassionate and allow them to slowly climb to the light. When they are ready, they will click in, they will clock in. Okay? So it is not personal. Your evolution is not personal. Your evolution is personal, but people that fail to understand you or they try to isolate from you is not a personal thing, okay? But your evolution, you take it personally because you have to protect your energy, right? You have to protect your energy. But when it's time to evolve, it's your healing, it's working on yourself, whatever it is you have to do to elevate, that one is personal. But what people understand about you or the way they see you or view you, it is something that is not personal because they're not ready yet. They're not there yet, okay? Because I've told you many times, not everybody is here to evolve. Some people, they just go here to go through the cycles and keep on repeating again and again. They're not here to evolve. They did not come here to evolve. Some souls are here to evolve, but some are not. It's not easy to be awakened, guys. It's not easy to be awakened. It's not easy to be in a space whereby you are in a circle of people that only you know what is actually going on, can see what is happening. Only you can see it and nobody else can see it. It's not easy. It's not an easy place to be. It's something you get used to along the journey. But it's not it's because you see, we're used to people. You know? We're used to people, we're used to being around friends every time and every now and then you want to be around family, you want to go here, you want to go there. But when you awaken, it's different. So the life cannot be in that same, it cannot be the same, whereby you just have to be around everybody and you're trying to explain to people, they're already going in circles, that kind of stuff. New day, how long have you been awakened? I've been awake for like 7 years now. — 2025. So you just awakened recently. Kathy awakened 2020. I awakened 2019. So it's a ride, yes. It's a ride, new day. It's a ride, you've already been in it for some months now. Alpha, you awakened at age of 9. Yes. Kathy is part of the process. Isolation is part of the process to grow. You need to grow, evolve, heal. And you cannot evolve when you're still part of the crowd, when you're still part of the noise, the distractions. You have to isolate and grow. Is when you start to listen to yourself, get guidance. You was married to a covert narcissist. You don't force trend. Don't force yourself to wake up. This is, I've told you, it happens gradually. It is something, when it's your time, it's your time. It's divine intervention. It happens according to divine timing, but you cannot force it. The more you force it, the more harder it gets. Let it flow. Be in the moment. When it's your time, it doesn't work like that. You have to give yourself time to awaken. Maybe you're not even meant to awaken, But if you're not meant to awaken, there's no reason why you would be tapping into these channels like these, chosen ones and everything. It means there is something there that is trying to, it's a trigger. Awakening is a trigger. So there is something that has to happen to trigger you to awaken. Your time will come when this time you will know. Awakening is just like that, instant. But it's not something you look for. Don't look for it. You cannot look for, how can I awaken? I hear sometimes people, you have to meditate, you have to do this, you have to do this. You awaken when it's your time. What do you do when you're trying to heal and the narcissist keeps on attacking you? That is because you are giving them the space to. And thank you for that super chat, $5. Now, when you're healing, one of the things you need to understand, I don't know if you've watched some of those videos. For you to be able to heal, you need to understand. The narcissist is there to intercept your healing, because your healing also means your freedom. It means your elevation. First of all, it means your awakening, your freedom, and your elevation. And that is what they are against. The narcissist is against you. So they are against everything that involves you evolving, healing, awakening, and evolution, evolving, healing, and elevation. They are against. So when you leave a narcissist, it is in your interest to also block those people. Okay? Do not give them access to your energy. So when the narcissist attacks you, it means you have some open doors. Still have some open doors that you haven't closed, you haven't shut. is why they continue their attacks, to come in and attack, because they want to come in and interrupt you, and they are distract you. They are trying to distract you from the awakening. That's what the narcissists do on this realm. They are here to distract people from awakening. They don't want you to wake up. So the fact that you're still having the narcissist who is attacking you, it means that you still have some doors that you haven't shut. And the doors have to shut, windows have to shut, blocking, moving if you have to. When you shut those doors, it means you're no longer visiting, you're no longer inviting them, you're no longer communicating. No email, no SMS, no call, unless you have something like family or whatever. And then you can do something they call gray rock, or something that was like very limited contact. Okay, you only talk about the things that needs to be talked about, and no other business. So you don't get them into your business. This is how you actually detach from those people. So they can only attack you when you still give them the access. Okay, especially when you know that they are narcissists. So you need to deny every access to a narcissistic individual. That was from Captioned, you know. Don't grant them access. Don't tell them where you live. Don't call them. Don't email. Block their phone numbers. They use a new one, block it too. They keep on insisting, change the number. Shana Grabs, hello. That question doesn't make sense, Maverick. I don't know exactly what you're trying to. Maybe you're asking about the stages of awakening. There are different levels of stages of spiritual awakening. So when you go on YouTube, Google, there's that channel called, there's a channel which actually talks about spiritual awakening, just the spiritual awakening itself. One is called Lightways. You Google Lightways, he's a spiritual awakening coach. And there's another one, is called, what was the name of that lady? There are like 2 or 3, I don't remember what's the name of that one. Oh gosh, what's the name of that woman? Go on YouTube and Google and search the stages of spiritual awakening. That is what you need. That's what you're looking for. So there is some channels that specifically handle spiritual awakening. All those things, you know, me, I handle different issues. I may talk about different, I've also talked about some of those stages, but I don't go into the details. Okay? So if you want to learn about spiritual awakening, there is channels. Just Google the stages of spiritual awakening. On YouTube, there are some coaches. Lightways is one of them, spiritual awakening coach. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Kundalini awakening is spiritual awakening, you know? Kundalini is also spiritual awakening. Kundalini activation It's like the third eye activation. Gray rock is when you have limited or no contact at all. So it's very minimum contact. So gray rock is when you have like a narcissist you're dealing with. Let me say, for example, an ex-husband or ex-wife. And the only time you have a contact with them is when you have got to discuss the things that have got to be discussed with them. But not like you're calling in every now and then, the same way how you call in with your partners to check on them. So they call it gray rock because is minimum contact with them. If possible, no contact at all will be the best, but you have got to have a contact, so you do minimum contact, okay? Or sometimes they ask you a question, they may ask, you know how they do, they can ask you a lot of things, you just answer with a simple flat response. Or if possible, no response at all. So it basically means minimum contact. Gray rock method is also used when you're trying to detach from those people. When you're trying to detach and break away. So you guys have to understand that many people do not understand, don't even know what a spiritual awakening is. Okay? It is only the souls that are here to awaken. Those are the ones that will actually understand what it is. But many people don't know what it is. And it's not personal. It's not something you need to over-explain. The ones that get it, get it. So it's the reason why you need to find your tribe. Find the tribe that understands that language, that speaks that language. They are the coaches that actually just, their channels are all about spiritual awakening. That's what they talk. In all the, I wish I would, what's the name of that? There's a channel called Victor Odo. There's another one, what's the name of that other gentleman? Victor Odo, and Lightways, Victor Odo, like ODDO, Victor. Rough Smart, but Rough Smart, you have to go to the older videos. He used to, Nakodo, I think Nakodo talks too much about narcissism as well. Nakodo, I think, talks a lot about narcissism. Maybe also spiritual awakening, I'm not sure. Victor Odo, that's right. But more of his older videos, okay? The older videos when he was starting his journey. He had been talking about spiritual awakening. So there are some coaches that they're just specifically going to be discussing on their channels everything about spiritual awakening, okay? And Rough Smart, all his older videos was more about awakening. Rough Smart, you can't miss him. So Rough Smart used to be my coach in those years when I was starting to wake up. That was my coach, and Trent Genius was my coach as well. Victor Odo was my coach. So those are like my mentors, the ones that I was learning from when I was starting my awakening journey. But for me, I went in the direction of, because for me it was more of the narcissism. That has been my path. So that's what I just tuned in to teach and help about narcissism, narcissistic abuse. But because I'd awakened, so those are the people I learned from. There are others, there are many, but find the one that resonates with you. Okay? So it's been a very long time. There's a lot of people. There's channels that I can recommend, but I've forgotten the names. I don't remember because it's been many years I used to watch those things. And then, of course, I started focusing more on my channel, so I pretty much can't remember many of them. But there's a lot of spiritual awakening coaches if you want to go deeper into that. If you're on the twin flame journey, there's also twin flame coaches, the ones they just talk about twin flames and all that stuff. Nakodo is a very good channel as well. Nakodo, when it comes to narcissism, is a very, very nice channel. And Nakodo also understands the spiritual side of narcissism. It is always very important, empaths, to realize you always have to empathize with unawakened people. Okay? This is one of the things I always teach. Empathize with them. Okay? Don't try to go back and forth and you're fighting around because they don't hear you. They don't understand. Empathize with them, but don't allow them to sap your energy, is what I'm trying to say. So when it gets to that level whereby you just have to be going back and forth and you feel they are draining you, they are sapping your energy, then that's when you need to protect yourself. But empathize with them, okay? Don't judge them for not understanding you because they're not at that frequency, okay? So you always have to understand they are on their own journey, they are evolving slowly. Some of them maybe they will never wake up, because me now I understand that there's some family members, I know that they will never wake up. It doesn't matter what I will tell them, how much they are not at that frequency. They will never. I know that they will never. But there's some people that I've met that I know that will wake up. So don't allow this thing to sap your energy because you're trying to explain something to somebody that doesn't understand you. They're going to fight around with you, okay? Is, for example, getting into somebody's home and you're trying to wake them up, and they're still enjoying the bed. They're still, tucked into their sheets and everything, and you're trying to push them to drag them out of bed. It will get uncomfortable because they don't want you to wake them up. They're not ready yet. When they're ready, they will wake up. When a person is ready, when you're ready to wake up, there will be circumstances that will play around your life that will trigger you to do that. Then now you can start getting out of bed. But it is not like they're under the spell, exactly. It's like they're under the spell, and you cannot break that spell. Sometimes they're not ready. The spell is not yet ready to break. This is what I'm trying to say. So don't try to drag them around and, pull them out of their bed. They're not ready. The ones that are ready will find you. So you don't judge them, don't empathize with them, allow them time, There can be also real souls. There could be also sleeping giants. It's like you, for example, once upon a time you was not awakened. So you didn't even know what was going on. You was there doing normal things. You was entangled with these narcissists. You didn't know what was happening. Then one day you just woke up. So it will be gradual. It will happen for them. But while they are still in their sleep, empathize with them. Find your tribe. Let the ones that are ready find you. Okay? But one thing that I can surely guarantee is that a lot of empaths have actually awakened after going through narcissistic abuse. That one is 100%. Many empaths have awakened after going through experiencing narcissistic abuse. Maybe it was the trauma that was necessary to trigger them to wake up. Could have been divine intervention. I watched a video one day, a couple of years ago, by, what's that guy's name again? That narcissist who is sometimes on YouTube. What's his name? There's the ultra narcissist. What's his name again? You guys maybe have seen him. So he did one video and he said that the experience you had was actually divine intervention. Not only for you, but for the narcissists themselves. It's also divine intervention for them. What's the name of that guy? The ultra narcissist. This guy's ultra narcissist. I've not seen his channel for a very long time. I don't follow narcissist. HG Tuda, exactly. He said that your meeting with the narcissist was divine intervention. Yes, that's the one. And their meeting with you was also divine intervention. This was a divine intervention was meant to happen. For the narcissist, it was probably their last ticket to redemption. To get things right is why they send them the empath. But then also, on the other hand, the narcissist ran into your life to teach you things, to trigger your emotions, to trigger your wounds. And that is what was needed for you to awaken. So this whole thing was divine intervention. If you didn't meet the narcissist, maybe there's a lot of things about you that you couldn't figure out at some point. Maybe that was the route that God would use to trigger your awakening to happen. Because if that wasn't the case, you can ask yourself a question. How come that very many empaths are starting to wake up, and all of them, the first thing they are going to talk about is the narcissist? Many of them have got an experience with one or two or more narcissists. How is it possible? It cannot be a coincidence. So in my video, I did a video those years, and I said the narcissist missed the last bus. So that was my and I even did that video before actually watching that video from Tudor. That video was like 5 years ago. The narcissist missed the last bus. It was their last ticket to redemption, but they couldn't get it right. Okay, so Tudor has his own way of explaining how it was, but me, that's how I explain my understanding of what it was. Okay. Maybe he was supposed to come and teach them what love is, what it feels like, true empathy, emotions and stuff, and they couldn't get it because that's not who they are. You know what I mean? Restoration escaped a narcissistic wife 1 year ago. Their last chance, their last ticket. You came there, you taught them how to love, they couldn't love. You taught them what is empathy, they couldn't understand empathy. You taught them how to feel things. You was there, the best example they could ever have, they couldn't get it because that's not who they are. So you had to walk away. So they missed their last bus. That's how I did my video. They missed their last bus to redemption, Because all your life with a narcissist, it usually felt like he was trying to rescue a small little child who is stuck in a pit, You have been struggling with them, trying to pull them out. You didn't know that he was doing this. It was something he was doing naturally because that's who you were. So you was now trying to pull out this little child who was like stuck in a very deep sunken space. But whenever you pull them out, they would fall back down. You pull them out, they fall back down. That's what it looks like, even from a spiritual level. But then you got drained and exhausted. You had to leave them and you walk away. Okay? So restoration, 1 year ago, left a narcissistic wife, completely moved out of the country. Hey, sometimes it's necessary. When you're working, you need to leave. You need to like unplug from the entire town, the entire city, change locations. Because when you don't, they keep on following you up. How is it possible that now you're seeing the rise of empaths? People that have been, silent for a very long time. They have been silent for the longest of time. You wouldn't hear them say a word. And all of them, the first thing they will explain, there was battling with the narcissist at some point, or maybe more. So that was the route that the divine would use to wake you up. There's no other explanation, you know. So, all right, guys, 2 hours down. Let's call it a day for today. Thank you for the participation. I've seen the likes, I've seen the super chats. We've got a new member as well. I've been reading all your comments, and I hope this has been a nice, empowering live that we had today. Thank you for participating, and I will see you guys in my next one. Okay? Wish you the best, everyone. Bye.